So many people are desperately relying on science and wisdom. Right? How many don't you hear that every time you put on the TV? Science and wisdom, science and wisdom. Well, look what God says about that. He says, for the foolishness of God is wiser than man's wisdom. Selah. The foolishness of God is wiser than man's wisdom, and the weakness of God is stronger than man's strength. Does that not say it all? Does that not tell us who our source should be and where we should be going for the very best information? Put yourself under the tutelage of God. Mishlei Proverbs 10 says, the heart of the wise will easily accept instruction. Now, let me paraphrase that. The teachable person is smart and will receive from God. The heart of the wise will easily accept instruction, but those who do all the talking are too busy to listen and learn. They'll just keep stumbling ahead into the mess that they have created. God has the answers we need, but sometimes we out-talk God. And sometimes we're too busy to listen. And what we end up doing is creating a mess for ourselves. Look at our world. We've put God on the shelf, and we've out-talked God because we're smarter than God. So they think. They think they're smarter than God. They think they're more advanced than God. And so they've silenced God, and they've gone ahead and put their own agenda in play. And look what has come of the world. God is saying this. He's saying, talk to me, express your heart to me, and then please, 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 please listen to me. That's what God's saying. Please. Get acquainted with the voice of God. Yeshua has things right now that he wants to communicate to you, things that are critically important for your life and your family and for your situation. Critical things. Things you need to hear and I need to hear, but we must stop to listen and receive his instruction. And with that said, I just want to say this one note. Be careful with the words that you speak. There are a lot of emotionally charged verbiage being flung around in our society today, in our homes and through social media. We must make sure that the things we speak are under the tutelage of the Ruach HaKodesh. You hear that? Are under the tutelage of the Ruach HaKodesh. Your word, look at this. I love this translation. This is a familiar verse, Proverbs 18:21. But this is a different translation. Your words are so powerful that they will kill or give life. And the talkative person will reap the consequences. What does it say that for? Because the scripture says in another place, in the multitude of words, sin is not absent. You're slow to speak, quick to listen. I want to say this, that you and I need to make sure that we obey. Well, listen to this. Hebrews 12:25 says, make sure, this is the letter to the Messianic Jewish community, right? Look what he says. Make sure that you obey the one who speaks to you. The people did not escape when they refused to obey the one who spoke to them at Mount Sinai. Do you think you can possibly escape if you refuse to obey the one who speaks to you from heaven? God is looking for us to listen to what he's giving. I want to tell you right now, God is giving instruction in this hour. We're getting instruction from political leaders. We're getting instruction from activist groups. right? We're getting instructions from TV personalities. We're getting instructions from news outlets. But I want to tell you, we're also getting instructions from God, if you're listening. God is giving instruction. And that instruction very, 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 very rarely has anything to do with the instruction those other sources are saying. You need to be listening to God. I don't know if you're old enough to remember this. You remember E.F. Hutton? When E.F. Hutton talks, people listen. That was a statement in many TV commercials in the 1980s. And someone would say, my broker is E.F. Hutton. And E.F. Hutton says, and everyone within the earshot would stop what they're doing and lean in to hear the advice of E.F. Hutton. Why? Because what E.F. Hutton said was so important that everyone stopped everything. You know, as is always true, E.F. Hutton no longer exists in the financial world, but God does still exist for his people, and he is available for you and I, and we should be those who carefully pay attention to his voice. When God speaks, and we should lean in and be listening. Why? So he could lead us to peaceful pastures. Again, I want to say this. If you are living your life in fear, if you're living your life with anxiety about what's going on around us, if you're living your life and you are absolutely at your wit's end, you have not been led to the peaceful pastures of God. Yes, well, Rabbi, Michael, these are unusual times, but I want to tell you, David, who wrote many of the Psalms, wrote that as his world was in great turmoil. He was running for his life. He was persecuted. He had armies hunting him down like an animal. Yet he was able to lie down in the green pastures of God's presence. Doesn't that sound good? He wants to lead us to the peaceful pastures of his presence in the midst of a hostile world. And if we listen close enough, we will find that we will bring others along for the ride. So I end with this. Talk to God, because he will talk back to you. And place yourself and your family under the tutelage of God. We are living in serious, serious times. And we need God today more than ever before. So please, hear my voice in this hour. Don't go home. Listen, can I tell you what's happening? I want you to have some discernment. What's happening is they want to placate us with Netflix and video games and put us in a fantasy land like everything's okay. Because as long as you think everything's okay, you're not going to be talking to God. You're going to be trying to get a new internet service so you can have a better connection for your stuff. But if you understand that we are in serious times and God is calling on his people, only God's people could change this world. Make no mistake about it. Only God's people. That's you and that's me. And there's not a lot of us. Only God's people could change the world. And God's looking for you to do two simple things. Spend some of your day talking to him, and then place yourself and your family under his tutelage. So simple. This is something God has said since Mount Sinai. Those two things. That's no different than what he said at Sinai. Those two simple things. Talk to God and place yourself under his tutelage. Let's stand. To say the Aaronic blessing over you. It's so good to see you. I can't wait till we have the full gang up here and all's well. Mazel tov to the Seistados family and to Tiffany. So exciting. We're growing one way or the other. So, right, we're growing to have another person in the family. That's an awesome thing. But we love you guys. We desperately missed you for 3 months. It's so good to see you. And we trust that as we, as a community of faith, begin to do these two simple things,